Hey everyone, Eric Watson here, freelancer writer, player of games, writer of words, recorder of videos, and tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to another DriveThruRPG review, my written and video review series. We take a look at the adventures and supplemental material at DriveThruRPG.com. For this video, I'll be reviewing the Magic Item Supplement Potions Unlocked, designed by Spilnterverse Media for Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. A review copy has been provided for the purposes of this review. If you enjoy these videos, consider using my affiliate links for online shopping and supporting me via patreon.com/Rogue Watson. So, a lot of magic item supplements, especially potion stuff, tends to lean on the quantity over quality side, because with potions, you only expect for like maybe a 2-sentence, mechanic or something. You drink it, and then a thing happens. That's pretty much is what happens in, at least in the literal 5th edition and Dungeon Master's Guide when it comes to potions. You've got a potion of growth, potion of invisibility, potion of healing, all these things. You're drinking it and you're getting the effects of a magic spell. And what Potions Unlocked tries to do is say, hey, first of all, we're going to make the actual mechanics of potions a lot more interesting. We're going to introduce the ability to release potions on contact or by inhalation rather than just ingestion. So essentially it turns some potions into grenades that you can just hurl, which I think is interesting. It adds a whole potion crafting mechanic as an optional rule, which I think is a good idea, but I think in this case a little too fiddly. And it obviously adds some potions, but again, most potions, when I think of a supplement adding potions, like a couple sentences and that's it, maybe some descriptions. This one has full, like a page or two, the kind of length and time and care that you would expect from legendary items have been given to these potions. So these are like, and they're not all necessarily legendary potions, but they are very interesting and creative for the most part, and all have like fun artwork and stuff. So I was actually very impressed by how much care and detail was given to potions, which is not something that's normally given that much care and detail for. And also a bunch of ingredients in terms of plants. We get like NPCs and merchants who are running stores and wandering around giving people potions. Like anything that has to do with potions is included here. It's a 100-page supplement, and it is pretty damn impressive. So let's go over Potions Unlocked. So, by the way, when I was looking at this cover page and was setting up my review, and my 18-month-old looked over and said, Santa? Because apparently thought the person on the cover here represented Santa Claus. So I had to be like, no, I don't think that's Santa. I just thought that was a funny little anecdote. Anyway, the first like 10 pages are all optional rules. So we don't even get to the actual potions themselves, which there are, I think, over 30, I put over 25, so maybe about 30 new potions, which is still the bulk of the supplement, but you don't get to the potions until you're on page 20. There's like about 10 pages of intro and pictures and things. So we get to the optional rules for about 10 pages, and there's some good ideas here. I kind of mentioned them at the top of the review, but you can use potions as just having somebody have to inhale them rather than ingest them. So maybe you could use it as like a melee weapon kind of a thing, or via contact, literally just by hurling that potion at somebody, and then just by touching it, it has that effect on them. It allows you to use a lot of these potions in a more aggressive way rather than having them all just be the same kind of buffs or healing or things that we've normally seen. And there's a lot of really great tables being included here. So there's something like you can do a serving size for potions, which to me that seems too fiddly. Just make multiple potions. I don't like the idea of having potions be multiple servings. I mean, it's optional rules, you can pick and choose, but that's one that I think is just way too much for me to try to keep track of, is like uses of a potion. At that point, just make a finite item that can do things a certain amount of times. To me, potions by their definition are one-time use. That's kind of what makes them potions. But you have like these tables for if it splashes in different directions. You have tables for if you misuse it. In other words, you ingest it instead of inhale it, then different things can happen. There's a whole like wild magic type table if you if some potion for whatever reason has some kind of crazy magical side effect, then there's a whole D100 table you can look at for different crazy magical things that can happen. There's a lot of really fun tables here. Probably the most important one of the optional rules is the actual crafting of potions, which I appreciate being included here. I'm not completely on board with it. It could be organized a little better, and it's too fiddly. Once you get to like breaking down like a freaking shopping list and like a spreadsheet with numbers and you have to start dividing and things, I'm out. Like I'm so far out. Like you got to keep things simple for me. I'm not in it for the math. The core rule I think I'm on board with, which is if you have all of the things, which it says you have to be level 3, you have to have proficiency in herbalism or alchemical supplies, and you have to have all the ingredients and all that, then you make an arcana check every 8 hours to succeed. And if you fail, nothing bad happens, you just don't get a success. So in other words, failure just makes it take longer. That core rule I appreciate a lot. I saw it used in the Solasta 5e video game, which you can see a full playthrough on my channel. And I've actually used a version of that for crafting in our current D&D campaign of Rime of the Frostbane for a character to be able to craft some unique equipment. It's the same kind of system where they just have to have the ingredients and then roll the check. And then if you succeed, then you make it after a certain number of checks. But if you fail, you don't lose anything. You just lock out that time. It just takes you longer. So I do like that, but I wish they had organized it in terms of successful checks rather than hours, forcing me to do the math for that. And then it really breaks down the ingredients in a really mathy way that I don't appreciate at all. So I think there's some good ideas here, but to me, it gets a little too much. It gets too fiddly, and I mean, that's the idea behind the optional rules, obviously, to add new rules, which are inherently going to be a little more mechanically demanding than what's already in the player handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide. I was okay with adding potion viability, with adding the fact that you can now hurl different potions and have different effects. I think all that was kind of cool. The side effects table is cool, but just a lot of the more advanced potion making stuff, I would have taken that and cut back and made it a lot simpler, I think. So we get to the actual potions, which there are about 30 of them, and holy crap, the detail of these potions is just absolutely astonishing. Like, for each potion, first of all, the artwork is amazing. I mean, potions are not usually something that's given artwork, because it's pretty easy to just be like, hey, it's in a whatever, potion, might have a fun little description about it, that's it. But look at I'm just going to scroll through here for a second. You can see this amazing artwork for all these potions that really make them look like special fantasy ass, like crazy looking potions with really, really neat, unique effects, which I appreciate. The effects alone, is a full paragraph. We get sensory descriptions, and then we get a full backstory of like what the origin of this potion was, or who discovered it, or maybe it's based on somebody's curse, or somebody just accidentally discovered this potion, or somebody did try to create a potion and it worked, or it didn't work, and all these different really kind of cool backstories that may never come to the light of day, but are just kind of fun to read about. And then maybe as a DM, you can come up with a neat story based on using these potions. So I was blown away by the fact that a potion is given a like 1 to 2 page full-on description of something that, again, the mechanics may only last a paragraph or a couple paragraphs, but we get all this extra benefit for a potion, which is not something that's usually given this much attention. Just to kind of montage through them, there's like a grenade of single target silence. There's another, I use the grenade term liberally, it's a potion that you can throw and does a aggressive thing to somebody. Of barbs that can exploit a target's vulnerabilities. You can empower yourself with a bestial attack, or crystallize your skin, get your Emma Frost on, transform into a fiery form, or sprout 4 tentacles out of your abdomen, or become a goddamn angel with AC boosting and functional wings. Now, these aren't all like legendary top tier potions, but a lot of them are. So especially if you want to make potions like really special and cool for your like higher level players, or just make a potion have the same, crazy cool effects that a very powerful magic item would be, you could give that to your lower level players. This is where you're going to find some really cool potions, and a lot of them are of that very powerful ideas and mechanics. So an example, the Elixir of Energy is a pretty unique buff. You drink it, it doubles your movement speed. You no longer provoke attacks of opportunity. You add a d6 to all of your attacks, and you force disadvantage on any attackers coming at you. So it's kind of it's not quite just giving you haste. It's giving you like this interesting kind of partial blur buff, partial haste buff, partial, I don't know what extra d6 is. Almost, it's not quite the divine, whatever it is, it gives you a d4, but it's all these different things. And there's also, on top of everything, there's a 5% chance that a koala will appear and follow your orders for the duration. It doesn't say what you should roll or how you figure that out or anything. It just says that's something that can happen. Just a very unique buff. Now, to go along with the way potion making is weird, a lot of these potions, the ingredient cost to make them is hilariously crazy. I don't think that's the fault of the designer of this supplement so much as that's the fault of just D&D's economy being completely weird and bizarre when it comes to trying to make magic items. Frankly, I always thought Forgotten Realms, at least specifically, is just flush with magic items, right? They're just coming up all the time. Like, yes, they're still very powerful and rare, but it just feels that kind, they're everywhere. I mean, in 5e, maybe it's less of a problem because you're not finding +1 things all the time and it's not as item dependent, but there's a lot of magic items laying around. And you're telling me it costs a shit ton, like somebody's beyond life. I mean, some of these potions, the legendary ones, cost like tens of thousands of gold and like half a year to make for one potion that you're just going to drink. And yes, it's very powerful, but that's it. Like, it just lasts for whatever its time is. So the cost is crazy weird. I think that's a bigger problem of like D&D's own economy of magic items and even finite magic items versus the designer's fault. Although I will say the designer didn't try to even, fix that at all. But I guess it always depends on somebody's own world and what they're doing with it. There's the Glimmer Gas is the crazy Angel Wings one. Going on to, I'm trying to highlight some of my favorites. The Infusion of Illusion, you like pour it over an object and it turns into a creature of, it's always a CR5 creature. I really wish there was a table with this one, like the bag of tricks that you pulled out and turned into some kind of animal creature. Unfortunately, it just looks like it's completely up to the DM on what creature the object actually turns into. We do get a example creature stat block called a Cloud Falcon. But in the rules, it just says it turns into any kind of CR5 creature that just has all of its normal abilities. But we don't get any like table for that or anything. So that's kind of a little. You can see the price 70,000 gold pieces. Like nobody's paying that much to do that. That's insane. So I would ignore that part of it, but it's still a really cool idea for a potion to be able to essentially do a version of like animate objects or polymorph or all those things kind of combined into one single potion. Ink of Intention is an awesome idea that reminds me of the finale to the new DuckTales TV show. Shout out to, which ended I think a year or two ago, but shout outs to the DuckTales reboot. Really recommend that show. Very awesome, very fun callbacks. But that one had a finale that was kind of had a magic item like this, which was the potion is like the ink that you dip a quill in, and then you just write on a parchment. Basically, you have to know the true name of your creature and your intention towards the creature, and use like one word. So, and you can't just do it like the command spell where you're supposed to come up with it. There's actually a table of different words you can do. So you can say heal, blank, blind, blank, harm, blank, frighten, blank, whatever. It's like it's either a buff or a debuff or something. But that's a cool idea because it gives the players a lot of opportunity to choose what they want, as long as they know, the name of the creature that they're trying to affect. I think that's a really cool idea that's a good idea of thinking outside of what a potion is, because nobody's even drinking this thing, right? It's literally just like an ink pot that you're using to write these commands in. I thought that was just incredibly interesting. My personal favorite of all of these, however, and yes, I am kind of montaging past again, awesome artwork. Awesome. This is the one that you sprout tentacles from your abdomen when you drink it. Like, just the attention to detail on all of these is really cool, and there's some really fun ideas. My personal favorite is the Siphon Serum. This one it is still a potion that you make or find, and it's got a head, like a creature's dead shrunken head kind of a thing. I guess going from like a voodoo ritual or something. You usually see that associated with it. Where it's a head in a jar, and if you possess this Siphon Serum, then you gain, depending on what the head is, which it should be some kind of bestial humanoid, you gain their racial ability, which is mechanically extremely cool. And you can actually swap it out. It says up to 5 times before you have to make the new potion. So if you essentially kill one of the creatures and you can stuff their head in this jar, you gain a different ability instead of the one you had. And it adds all the different ones from the different races. So like for goblins, you would gain their nimble escape, which is the free bonus action disengage or hide. Merfolk, you can gain amphibious. Lizard folk, you can hold your breath. Kobold, you get pack tactics, which would be fucking huge for player characters to get. Just a really neat idea. Again, a great way of thinking outside the box for what a potion is and what a potion can do. In this case, again, you're not drinking this thing at all, but it's still a vial of liquid. It has finite uses, although I think it's meant to last forever, but you can only swap so many times. There's also something you can do that consumes the head, and it basically like replaces that head with, or maybe that is the action that actually puts the head in there. So I think you use it to consume the last head and you put somebody else's head in there, I think is what it does. But they get to make a wisdom save to avoid it, to avoid having their head get sucked inside the jar. I think that's a really cool idea and a very unique, very dark, cool thing that you would find on like an enemy. You know, that could be like the cool reward from a whole like dungeon, right? Somebody who's been just killing creatures and you may be vivisecting them or doing something creepy, and just you find this jar and suddenly you have this ability. It's like, oh man, it's really dark and creepy how this thing was created and how it's used, but also I gain all these cool abilities, so maybe I'm gonna use it. I freaking love it. That's awesome. So just really cool potion ideas. That's about 40 pages of our 100-page supplement. So we've got another about 10 pages of plants, which are specifically just if you want to utilize that potion crafting system, you want to allow your players to harvest ingredients. Your players are big like MMO fans, and they like seeing the bush and going up to the bush and clicking that button and getting those ingredients, which, hey, I've been there before. Then this offers some really cool ideas for that. We get the artwork honestly sells it for me, because I think this is frankly kind of boring talking about trees and stuff to me. But the art is really, really nice. And I believe the only DC involved is for you to identify the plant. The actual harvesting doesn't cost any kind of skill check as far as I'm concerned. There's no like real challenges or anything to do. I think you only have the one basically DC check to just identify the plant properly, and then that whole check involves you being able to then harvest the ingredients you need and everything else. So if you want to explore a crafting system and even include a harvesting system, which I think can be very cool if you keep up with it, this is a great way to do that, and also offers a lot of really fun artwork and plans to go. I mean, honestly, just great artwork throughout this whole freaking supplement. I love this section. Potions, places, and personalities. How do you further supplement your potions book into providing as much potion-related content as possible? Give me some potion sellers. Give me some merchants, some actual NPCs that my players are going to encounter that could buy potions from, that they could help craft potions from with some assistance, that they could even go to a damn school academy and learn. Sorry, I've got someone just flew in my eye. Something to where an academy to where they could learn how to make potions themselves. All of that is really awesome and cool. So we've got like basically two wandering merchants. One of them is an alchemist that gives you potions. The other one is a merchant who sells you potions, just a very classic traveling wagon. She's a very serious person. She sees dead people in the form of ghosts who are just kind of not hostile or anything. She talks to her horse, just a very nice person named Petra. And she's got a whole merchant list and tables of different potions that she sells, which include the standard potions from the Dungeon Master's Guide, as well as the potions from this supplement itself. Then we've got the wandering dwarven alchemist Bermeron, who is racked with guilt because his whole clan was killed while he was out helping the king, and now he just wants to spend his days going around and helping people and giving them potions, as long as they're helping other people as well. So that could be a fun one for, a positive random encounter for the players if this dwarf shows up and just gives them some really cool potions to help, supplement whatever adventure they've got. I love the artwork associated with this section because it's either, it's both. It's pictures of the NPCs themselves, which also include stat blocks, by the way, which is very nice, as well as pictures of their shops where you actually can, they're not battle man, they're not grid maps, but we don't need grid maps here, right? We're just going in and we're like shopping at these various locations. The Flower Witch Potion Shop is a very, very cute with an equally cute proprietor who's just, very kind and abhors violence and just making all our little potions. And it's like a cutesy shop that you would see, like a local shop, just brimming with personality. I absolutely love it. And there's a full-blown academy your players can go to, a wizard academy, if they want to actually learn the art of potion crafting. There's NPCs, there's little story adventure hooks associated with that. I was absolutely blown away because this is a magic item supplement that's all about potions and offering cool potion ideas and things. And all of a sudden we've gotten all these locations, and they're not just ideas. These are fully fleshed out, either wandering merchant or something, but still it's stat blocks and things to do, and just very, very impressive with what we're given here. And yes, the artwork definitely helps sell a lot of this to me, but it's not just a pretty face. I think there's a lot of really good, interesting content in here as well. Over a dozen adventure hooks. I really wish the adventure hooks took specific potions and actually maybe even worked in some of their interesting origin backstories into the adventure hooks. Instead, these are more generic adventure hooks that just happen to include a potion in some way. So like there's a traveling, snake oil salesman who's manipulating the town, or you find there's a missing person, or it's a missing party member, and all you find left over is a note that says "drink me" and a potion. Or there's a local potion seller who needs guinea pigs to test their potions on, and you have to go sign up for that. Good ideas, but nothing that uses specific stuff from the supplement, which I think would have been really interesting, because I would have loved to see how best to integrate some of those specific potions into turning them into maybe entire little mini quest arcs or ideas. Would have been really neat to have. But I mean, it's very, very nice. Huge tables for the appendices at the end, reference tables, which includes pretty much everything we went through for the whole supplement. All right, let's go over my pros and cons. Santa? For potions unlocked. Pros: over 25 intricately detailed creative potions, including sensory descriptions and backstories. I have rarely seen so much attention given to any magic items in any supplement that I've read, let alone one about potions. So I was very, very impressed with the amount of detail it goes into. Pro: optional rules for potion making, delivery, servings, and side effects. Basically, these 10 pages are really nice to have. Now, I personally thought that we'll get to that in the con, that the potion making could have been a little bit better. But I do like all the new optional rules. I think that 5e is very moddable in that way. It's easy to add on additional components and aspects, and I think especially if your players are into the alchemy thing, or if they're coming from an MMO background and they like the idea of being able to throw potions as a different effect, or having potions go wrong somehow, having side effects and maybe having labels getting misjudged or something. They like add a little more RNG to all your potion stuff or your crafting and all that. I think there's a lot of good information here. Pro: the entire last potions and personality section is awesome. Huge thumbs up. Several fun potion shops, traveling merchants, and even a full-blown academy where they can learn to craft their own potions. And I want to give a special pro bullet point to the artwork. Lots and lots of wonderful artwork on nearly every page, including those maps, isometric maps, but still cool, like view maps of the shops, and over 30 images of the potions themselves, which very much helps sell the potions to me. I'm very visual in that way. I love being able to see it, and I like the way that they all, are thematically tied to their specific potions in cool ways. They look like really special fantasy. I mean, this one with the 3 stopper is literally 3 different abilities that it can do depending on which stopper you use that it goes out. Just very fantastic, cool abilities. Cons. My only real con, I think, was the potion making. I guess I expected more, but also I expected a little bit to not be so fiddly. I think that was the main thing. I think the potion making was just a little too fiddly. It got a little too math, a little too in the weeds for me. I would have kept things, you can still make it mechanically satisfying without making it too confusing, too complex. And I feel like, not to toot my own horn, but I think I did that a little bit to better effect in our current campaign, where I kept it like, look, it's going to cost you just this flat rate. It's going to cost this many times per rest. And I'm not even going to track hours, because who fuck's doing that as a DM? I'm literally just tracking it by rest. So every rest you can make this many checks. Every long rest you can make this many checks. And then you need this many successes to make the item. That's it. And the player responded very well to that and has been made a lot of items for that. Whereas this one, I think I would adopt a similar effect and not necessarily use what has been given here in the potion making section. All right, final verdict. With 100 pages of optional rules, colorful artwork, and creative potion designs, Potions Unlocked should more than satisfy a group's alchemical desires. Thank you to everyone for watching this video review. You can see my written review at roguewatson.com. You can watch more reviews and follow our own D&D adventures here on my YouTube channel. You can support my work at patreon.com/roguewatson. Shoutouts to Platinum patrons Joe, Will, Tiny Dancer, Christopher, Thomas, Adam, Stan, Nathan, Alex, William, I'm Loud, Al, Furcon, Kyle, and Scalenia. And gold patrons, RPG, Papercrafts, Pretty Boy, and Yuma, Marcus, Dead Lizard, Lion, Sam, Lumpy Spuds, Jerome, Blood Angel, Bruno, Baboon, Nathan, Fast Like a Tortoise, James, and Genocider. Thank you all very much for your support.